It should have been impossible. In the early hours of a cold and dusty morning, 700 exhausted horsemen found themselves standing against the might of an empire that stretched across continents. An empire feared for its discipline, its numbers, and its brutal efficiency in war. But on this one extraordinary day, something happened that even time could never erase. This is the story of the day 700 fearless riders shattered the pride of an entire empire. The year was 1278. Across the eastern plains, tensions had been building for months. Two once peaceful frontiers were now grinding against each other like blades in a whetstone. The empire to the east, powerful, organized, merciless, had spent decades expanding its reach. City after city fell, border after border dissolved, and thousands were forced into submission. But on the western frontier, a small federation of clans refused to bow. These clans had no great armies, no fortified castles, no fleets of siege engines. What they did have was something rarer. Warriors raised in the saddle, men who had been riding horses since before they could walk. They were fast, fearless, and impossibly skilled with bow, spear, and blade. And among these clans existed a legendary cavalry band known simply as the 700. Not 700 soldiers, 700 horsemen, each one a master of the step. In early spring, the empire's general, Lord Varakon, marched west with nearly 18,000 men, infantry, archers, lancers, and armored cavalry. His mission was simple: crush the clans once and for all. He believed resistance would end in a single day. After all, what were scattered tribes compared to the steel fist of a unified empire? Word spread fast across the plains. Villages emptied, families fled. Messengers rode through the night, warning every clan chief, "The empire is coming." The clans scrambled to defend what little land they had, but they knew the truth. They couldn't face an army that large head-on. Except one group, the 700. On the eve of battle, the horsemen gathered atop a wind-swept ridge. Torches flickered against the vast darkness as their commander, Arvin Taller, addressed them. He was not a king nor a noble. He was simply the best rider among them, a man whose calm eyes had seen more battles than most men survived. He spoke quietly. "We do not fight for glory. We fight so the empire stops here. If we fall, our people fall. Tomorrow, brothers, we ride." There was no fear in the air, only resolve. 700 men preparing to stand against an empire. Dawn broke over the plains in a blood-red glow. The empire's army marched forward like a rolling tide, shields glinting, banners snapping in the wind, drums pounding a steady rhythm of domination. Lord Varakon laughed when he saw the horsemen lined up in the distance. "Is this all they can send?" he asked mockingly. 700 riders, light armor, no siege engines, no infantry support. To the empire, it looked like suicide. But Arvin and his men had something the empire didn't. They knew the land, every hill, every dip, every patch of loose soil, and they had a plan. The 700 formed a long horizontal line, unusually spread out. They didn't lower their spears. They didn't charge. They simply stood motionless. The empire advanced, closer, closer, until Varakon signaled, "Archers, fire!" 1,000 arrows arced into the sky. And at that exact moment, Arvin gave the command. "Now!" The entire cavalry line spun their horses to the side and sprinted away, faster than any infantry line could track. The arrows fell onto empty ground. The general frowned. This was no ordinary cavalry. The empire's infantry tightened formation, and that's when the riders turned back. Not in a full charge, but in scattered, lightning-fast clusters of 20 to 30 riders each, striking the empire's flanks like daggers. They fired arrows with pinpoint accuracy, breaking shield formations, causing confusion, forcing entire units to turn sideways. The Empire had expected a direct clash. What they faced instead was war on the move. Cavalry that attacked from impossible angles, disappeared, then reappeared where least expected. Dust clouds rose, horses thundered, confusion spread through the imperial ranks. This was the first crack. Seeing his formations buckle, Lord Varicon ordered his elite cavalry, 2,000 armored lancers, to charge and crush the riders once and for all. The ground shook as the imperial cavalry thundered forward. Arvin saw them coming. He didn't retreat. He raised his spear high and shouted one word, "Split!" The 700 suddenly divided into two enormous wings, leaving a wide open gap in the center. The imperial cavalry surged forward into it, not realizing that the ground beneath that gap was a hidden pit of soft soil and marsh that the riders had chosen deliberately. Horses stumbled, lances shattered, riders The Empire's infantry tightened formation, and that's when the riders turned back, not in a full charge, but in scattered, lightning-fast clusters of 20 to 30 riders each, striking the Empire's flanks like daggers. They fired arrows with pinpoint accuracy, breaking shield formations, causing confusion, forcing entire units to turn sideways. The Empire had expected a direct clash. What they faced instead was war on the move. Cavalry that attacked from impossible angles, disappeared, then reappeared where least expected. Dust clouds rose, horses thundered. Confusion spread through the imperial ranks. This was the first crack. With the imperial cavalry gone and infantry in chaos, Arvin knew this was the only moment to finish it. He rode to the front of his men, lowered his spear, and shouted, "For the plains! Ride!" 700 horsemen erupted forward in one unstoppable wave, the first and only full charge of the entire battle. Speed, precision, fury. Their impact shattered the imperial center like glass. Soldiers broke ranks and fled. Officers were trampled. Lines dissolved. In less than an hour, a force of 18,000 had disintegrated. When the dust finally settled, Lord Varicon's once glorious army was gone. Survivors scattered in every direction, too traumatized to regroup. The Empire, shocked, embarrassed, humiliated, withdrew from the western frontier entirely. They never returned. The 700 had done the impossible. They had broken an empire.